Ciao friends, and welcome to Simple Italian Cooking for another great cooking video for easy Italian recipes that you can make right in your own home. My name is Liz and I've got a great one for you today. It's a traditional soup and it's called tortellini and broth. So lots of different ways you can make this, pretty flexible. I mean, it's a very basic recipe and I could just tell you, hey, take some tortellini and boil it in some broth and voila, you're done. But I'm going to take it a little step further and show you how you can modify it a little bit and just give it a little bit more oomph. So, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do a few things today and show you. In fact, this is what I'm having for dinner tonight. So I'm really looking forward to doing this recipe because the sooner I get it done, the sooner I get to eat dinner. So let's go ahead and plug in my induction burner here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to enhance my broth. Now, you may already have a chicken broth that you really like. You can even do, if you want to keep it vegetarian, you can use a veggie broth. But I am using this chicken broth. It's actually got no salt added, so I'm going to add my own, control the amount of sodium I want. But I'm going to enhance it because I want to have some solids in there besides just the tortellini. So I'm going to go over the ingredients. I'm just using some celery with the lettuce. I'm not using a lot. Carrots, garlic, onion, your basic broth stuff. Some cheese, olive oil, and of course the tortellini. And I've got some fresh parsley. You can use dried. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil into the pan. Okay, so about a tablespoon. And I'm going to go ahead and let that heat up while I go ahead and chop up the celery here. I'm going to take this little brown bit off. And I love celery leaves in my brothy soups. Now, I say brothy, but you can make this as chunky as you want, depending on how you cut your vegetables, how much you add in. So I'm just going to prep the ingredients here. Like I said, this is just kind of a traditional, simple Italian soup that a lot of people might be like, really? That's a recipe? Yeah. You know, tortellini doesn't always have to be with a sauce. It's frequently used with broth. And since I want it to cook pretty quick, I'm going to kind of dice everything here. So the smaller you cut the ingredients, the quicker it will cook. So I'm going to do, I'm not doing a whole onion. I'm just going to use probably about a quarter of an onion or a half an onion, maybe a third. Okay, so I've got my everything chopped while that was heating. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in the onion, the celery, and the carrot first. And I'm going to let those cook for about 5 or 8 minutes. I'm going to turn this up a little bit to a medium heat. I want to get this going. I'm not going to add my garlic quite yet, simply because I don't want it to burn. I don't think it will, but I just want to make it extra safe. Be extra careful with that. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just give this a nice stir, and I'm going to put the lid on it to allow it to steam. One thing to keep in mind when doing using carrot in a broth, carrots will get sweet. They are sweet, which makes them great for little snacks. But if you don't like a sweet soup, cut back on the carrot or just omit it at all. I added about a half of a carrot in there. I didn't do the other one. I'll probably just munch on this while I'm cooking. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and add in my garlic. And I'm just going to keep this on low. I turned it down to low a little bit ago. And I'm just going to let that garlic get aromatic. And once I can start smelling that garlic, I'm going to go ahead and add in my chicken broth. Don't forget, we're going to be cooking the tortellini in with the broth, so the vegetables will continue to cook. So add my first 2 cups. And depending on how much you're making, adjust your quantities. So I'm going to shoot for probably 2 cups. 4 cups. And since this is no salt, I think I'm going to go ahead. Well, let me see here. Taste this. Yeah, since this is a pretty light broth, I'm going to go ahead and just do the 4 cups. If this was a strong flavored broth, I would actually do 3 cups of broth and 1 cup of water because it's going to cook down a bit because of the tortellini. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil. Now, one thing that's nice about this is you have total control. You have total control over, that was my dishwasher if you heard that. You have total control over how you want the soup to be. Now, sometimes I'm in the mood for a really brothy soup, so I'm going to use either less tortellini or I'm going to use more broth. Other times I want it more thick and I want it almost where the tortellini is just resting in a little bit of broth on the bottom and it's not a soupy soup. So the way that you want to go, you just adjust those quantities the way that you see fit for what you're in the mood for, because it could go either way. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of both and hoping that this won't absorb too much of the water, but that's okay because even if it does, I know it's going to taste great. If you like Italian recipes like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Join our newsletter. The link is down below. I send out recipes every week. You can also check out my free mini cookbooks down below that have some free recipes for you and that you can keep in a nice tidy PDF, print it out if you want, or keep it on your mobile device or on your computer. Okay, so this is coming to a boil. And I want to make sure it's a nice hard boil before I add these tortellini. Now, how long do you cook it? I'm cooking these for 20 minutes. I want them to be very soft. These particular tortellini are dried, and so if I don't cook them long enough, the part of the tortellini that overlaps with each other gets really, it doesn't cook. So that's harder and takes longer to cook than the other part of the tortellini. So I do like to overcook my tortellini when used in recipes like this. I just find it's easier to digest, and I'm not looking for that al dente texture that a lot of other people like. Oh, here we go. Rolling boil. And I'm going to go ahead and add the tortellini, and I'm doing about 2 cups of tortellini. And these will definitely expand. So I'm going to keep that on kind of a low boil for the next 15 minutes, and we'll come back and see how it is. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering about the parsley, I'm not going to add that in until the very end. Okay, so the tortellini is almost done. So I'm just going to go ahead and add in some parsley leaves. And all I'm doing is just simply tearing off the leaves and putting them in and just kind of different sizes. I'm not really being particular. So you can put in as many as you want, as little as you want, or none if you don't want. And then I'm just going to go ahead and give that a little stir. And this probably has a good 5-10 more minutes. I really want these soft. These particular tortellini just take a really long time. If you were using fresh tortellini from fresh dough, then it would take much less time, would not take as long. Okay, so it's been approximately 20 minutes, and I can really tell the last 10 minutes or so have really cooked down the broth because it's been absorbed by the tortellini. I love recipes like this. They're so delicious. Such a great way to have tortellini. So let's go ahead and serve up some of our tortellini and chicken broth. See, when you cook it in the chicken broth, what happens is the flavors of the chicken broth get into the tortellini and whatever is inside. So I'm using cheese tortellini, but you could use anything else. If you have tortellini with cheese and spinach or sausage or something else, I'm sure all that would taste great. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And I think some of the tortellinis may have burst open because the broth is looking really creamy. Oops. Now I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of Romano on top for some added flavor. And you know what? I forgot to add the salt. I'm just going to add that right now into the main bowl here. That is one thing. Anytime I buy a no salt whatever, I really like that because I can have total control over the amount of sodium that I'm incorporating into my diet. I really like that. But sometimes, you know. All right, let's take a test here. I love the fact that I have some solid carrots and solid onions and solid celery. I mean, they're all soft, but I like that it's in here. Mmm. Oh, what a wonderful soup for a cold day like today. I mean, it is literally rainy and nasty outside. And this is just so delightful. Well, I really hope you try this recipe. I think you're really going to like it if you're looking for a nice, comforting, robust, and hearty and Italian soup. Tortellini with broth is absolutely delicious. And I really hope you try this recipe. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. And if you've made any changes to make it your own. I want to thank you again so much for watching, and make sure to join our newsletter. I would love to have you a part of us and to participate with all this great things going on. So I want to thank you so much for watching. Grazie e ciao.